Welcome to the second episode of the Self-Help Podcast. I'm your host, Kayla, and before we get started, I feel like I should address the elephant in the room. If you are watching on YouTube instead of listening on whatever platform you're listening on, if you're watching me, yes, I'm wearing sunglasses. The reason I'm wearing sunglasses is because I went to the eye doctor today and I got my eyes dilated, and it's been, oh my gosh, it's been probably 4 hours now. Wait, no, it's been 5 hours now, and my eyes hurt and my head hurts when I look at the light, and it's just so bright for me. And honestly, my eyes look like I'm on a psychedelic or something. Anyways, aside from that, how are we doing? Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the support on the first episode. I am just so grateful to be here and talking to you guys. And today's episode is going to be all about fear and how to overcome fear in your life. I feel like the only thing that really holds us back in life is fear. Fear of whatever your fear may be. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was from my own personal experience with fear. This actually happened today. I faced my fear today. And what was my fear, you may ask? Going to the eye doctor. And why was I so afraid of going to the eye doctor? So, I was afraid of going to the eye doctor because I was kind of nervous that they would tell me that I was legally blind. And it makes no sense because, first of all, if I were to be legally blind, I would be legally blind either way if I went to the eye doctor or not. I just chose to be ignorant, I guess. But I did go to the eye doctor and I'm not legally blind. However, one of the things I was also really worried about was that I've been sleeping in my contacts. I know, it's so bad. I know, but I do it and it doesn't bother me. And when I tell people this, they're like, oh my God, what the heck? You're really not supposed to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but I do. And so, yeah, I haven't really been taking care of my eyes in the way that I should. And yeah, so I was kind of worried that my eyes were damaged because I knew that it was a very old prescription. It was 3-year-old prescription. And I was worried that my eyes were damaged because I was sleeping in my contacts, because I wasn't wearing glasses before I went to bed at night or whatever. That was also a 7-year-old prescription, so I wasn't wearing that. So anyways, I was worried about that, and that's why I put it off for so long. And I also got eye insurance and I was still putting it off. And then finally, I'm just you know what? My life is so freaking beautiful. I live in a beautiful apartment. I have beautiful experiences and I want to be able to see crystal clear everything because it sucks to not be able to see, right? And what's really interesting is this girl, Callie, that I met in Costa Rica. I was having this conversation with her about my eyes, and she said, when people don't really take care of their eyes, it's usually because they don't want to see something. And at the time, I was like, oh, well, I'm really good at going into my pain and, crying it out and whatever. I don't think there's really anything that I'm afraid of seeing. And there was, and what's really interesting, and it kind of correlates to now, is I was afraid of seeing the red flags in a certain relationship that I was in, and I wasn't looking at it. And as soon as I looked at it, and as soon as I cut this person out of my life, I then went to the eye doctor. Isn't that crazy? That's just a little side note, but it's so interesting. So I went to the eye doctor today. I faced my fear, and I was also afraid of the little puff thing because as a kid, I would get super nervous of that and it hurt my eyes, and I was just so scared of the puff things that go in your eyes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you have 20/20 vision, well, good for you. Some people may know what I'm talking about, but for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's this machine that puffs air into your eyes, and it was a pressure thing, and I really didn't like that. So I did it today and it was not as bad as when I was a child. So I think as a kid everything is just so dramatic, but I was scared of that. So it is interesting that some of our fears really do stem from childhood, but when we do them as an adult, it's really not as bad as we thought it was going to be. And it does also give me a different perspective on the dentist as well, because I used to be very afraid of the dentist, and I still kind of am. And a couple years ago, I actually had to get some fillings done. I ended up paying out of pocket like $6,000 because I didn't have insurance, and also I wanted to be put to sleep just for fillings because I had a bad experience when I was a kid. But what's so interesting is I wonder now if I were to do the same thing without being put to sleep, if I would be fine. And I think I would be because, as a kid, everything's so dramatic. And as an adult, you're just kind of like, oh, that wasn't that bad, because you're grown. You experienced things before. And anyways, so yeah, just a little side note. Fear can sometimes stem from early childhood. And if we carry that fear with us for our entire life, we're never going to be able to experience life. When I wasn't going to the eye doctor and I wasn't getting a new prescription for my contacts or my glasses, I wasn't able to experience the beauty of life around me because I wasn't able to see properly. So there is a sacrifice that comes with not facing your fear. And sometimes that sacrifice could be really detrimental to your life experience. I think a lot of people are also afraid of being seen. And that's really interesting that came to my mind just now, because my friend texted me the other day and she asked me, how do you get over a fear of being seen? And so I'm actually going to read you the exact text message that I sent to her, because I just allowed this to flow out of me. Because a lot of my advice, I really don't want to take credit for things that I talk about, because it's just in flow. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not I do have life experience, yes. However, it's like a divine presence that I'm allowing to speak through me. Anyways, the text message says, hey, honestly, there's usually a root cause as to why you may have a fear of being seen, such as a negative outcome from being seen in childhood. Getting down to the root cause and working through it / inner child healing is usually the first step. Somatic release breathwork has helped me a ton with this. Then once you are aware of why you have that fear, starting to put yourself out there and writing down the positive evidence helps. Also, sometimes a fear of being seen can also come with a fear of what others think of you. A really good book for this is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. So yeah, you could take what you wish from that text message that I just read aloud. Anyways, I want you to ask yourself, if this is you, if you have a fear of being seen, why? Really, no. Ask yourself why. And the way I just said that. No, it really can be something from childhood. And something that I dealt with in my own life. And maybe this will bring something up for you as well, but my dad used to say when I was a child, kids are meant to be seen and not heard. He used to say that all the time, and I think he meant it as a joke, and I don't think he meant it, he didn't want to hurt us, of course, but I think that subconsciously put something in my brain, and it honestly made me very shy as a kid. I wouldn't talk to people. When I would go out to a restaurant, my mom would always order for me. I was always so shy. One thing that actually helped me express myself was dance, but when it came to talking verbally, I was so shy. It actually wasn't until I was a teenager that I started to use my voice more, and even then I was still self-conscious and shy, and I felt like I didn't have anything valuable to say. And actually I did feel like I had something valuable to say. What I was worried about was that people wouldn't hear me. That's what it was. I did know that I had valuable things to say, however, I just thought that nobody would listen. And the one thing that actually helped me with this was creating my YouTube channel. Not the one you're listening on now if you're watching this on YouTube, but my main YouTube channel. My first YouTube channel was for dance, and that was when I was I was either 10 years old, I think I was 10. I'm not sure how old I was, but I was very young, and my dad made me delete it because he was worried about pedophiles on the internet. Anyway, so I deleted it, and then in middle school, I started a makeup YouTube channel. I started to use my voice a lot more on that channel, and I started to really be able to express myself. However, people from high school found out that I had a YouTube channel, and they started making fun of me, which I was already getting bullied, so I decided to delete that account because, again, fear of being seen, fear of being judged. I had this fear, right? Finally, I told myself, okay, once I graduate high school and I'm away from this mess and I'm away from all of these people, I'm going to start my YouTube channel. And now it's been since 2016 since I have had that YouTube channel, and it has grown to almost 100,000 subscribers. It actually passed 100,000 subscribers, but I've been losing subscribers recently because I haven't been posting. But I really started to learn how to use my voice through that channel. And that is one thing that I recommend if you have issues communicating. I recommend you to talk to, your phone, or talk to the camera on your phone. And you don't necessarily have to post anything, but just get comfortable with speaking. Get comfortable with hearing your own voice, because I actually used to hate my voice, and it took me a couple years of doing YouTube to not really give a shit about what I sounded like. One of the reasons also why you may have a fear of being seen is that you may have a fear of being judged. And what you're not necessarily afraid of is the judgment, because people can judge you in good ways and they can also judge you in negative ways. Let's talk about the good ways. If you're afraid of being judged in a good way, you may have a fear from childhood as your success taking away from somebody else or hurting someone else. That may be the root cause of that, and that might be something to look into, is to look into your childhood and say, okay, why do I have a fear of people viewing me in a positive light? And how can I transmute this energy? What most people have is the fear of being judged in a negative way. Now, if you have a fear of being judged in a negative light, if you have that fear, you may start to not be yourself, and you may start to not be authentic because you're trying to please everybody else around you. When it comes to that, the fear of being judged really stems from a form of not loving yourself and hating certain aspects of yourself, or not feeling what you have to say is valuable. Because if you truly love yourself, you're not going to care what other people think about you. Let me say that again. If you truly love yourself, you are not going to care what other people think about you. What I really suggest for my clients to do, because a lot of my clients are doing social media, it's interesting because I'm actually a higher self activation coach, and I tend to attract clients that are going full time with, doing what they love, or social media. It's usually social media, which is really interesting because I did the same thing. So, you are what you attract. But anyways, I help people become their highest self and to merge with their higher self. And a lot of my clients do social media. Almost every single client I've had has had this issue of not loving themselves and a fear of being judged. And what I tell my clients is to start with small things of showing yourself love, showing yourself that you value yourself. Go buy yourself flowers, go on solo dates, go on, trips by yourself. Take a bubble bath, do your hair and makeup very slowly to show yourself that you actually care and not rush. Because when you take your time, you're showing yourself that self-love, you're showing yourself that you value yourself. If you go out and somebody else is doing your hair and makeup and they're rushing and you are paying for them to be doing that, you're gonna kind of feel like, what the heck? Like, you're not valuing my time, you're not valuing, my money. And the same thing goes with valuing yourself. If you value yourself, you're gonna take your time with things. You're gonna wake up a little bit earlier so that you can get things done in a timely manner and not have to rush. You're gonna also take the time out of your day to implement a morning routine that shows self-care and shows yourself the love that you deserve. If you don't feel at a place where you can love yourself yet, it may stem from not feeling worthy, and that may stem from some sort of childhood trauma where a parent or guardian or someone you looked up to didn't value you or didn't show that they cared about you and didn't show you how much you're worth, right? A lot of anything is going to stem from childhood trauma. And I truly, truly do recommend like a somatic release breath work for this. It's truly, truly so powerful. And there's also meditations that you can do. Just start implementing these daily practices. Anything that works for you that's going to help you release this trauma can really be beneficial. One thing that I do want to tell you about is my solo date workbook. This is something that is available on my website, and I've created this workbook with 52 solo date ideas. And if you aren't familiar with solo dating, it's pretty much just going out on a date by yourself. So I created 52 solo date ideas with PDF journal prompts for you to reflect on yourself and your experience. So if that's something you're interested in and you're a beginner to solo dating, or even if you do solo date but you need some new ideas, the link will be in the description below. If you decide to go on a solo date, feel free to tag me on Instagram and I will repost you. A lot of people are afraid of failure. And the thing with this is that if you are afraid of failure, you're afraid of your own potential as well. Because if you're afraid of failure, you know that there is a potential out there for you that you are able to strive for to the point where you would fail. Failure is a good thing because it shows you what you are capable of, and it also shows you what direction not to go in, or maybe to try a different way. Failure isn't necessarily something to really get upset over, and you can if you want, but I look at failure as an opportunity for growth. And when you fail at something and you aren't meeting up to your expectation, all it is pointing you in a different direction. So that's a mindset shift that I really recommend that you implement, is that failure is a sign of redirection. And to go along with this, rejection is also a sign of redirection. If you are rejected by someone, like let's say you have this person that you want to be with, right? And let's say you feel rejected by them because you feel like they don't like you. Maybe they're really not the person for you, and you probably don't align with them energetically, and the frequency just doesn't align. The vibration just isn't matching up. And that is totally okay, because what is meant for you will be for you. And if you're focused on just one person, there are 7 billion people on this planet. There is someone better out there for you. The reason why you get rejection is to also get familiar with rejection, because the more you put yourself out there, the more you are probably going to be rejected, and being rejected, again, is not a bad thing. Being rejected is a sign of redirection. And when someone rejects you in, let's say, a romantic sense, all it does is give you the opportunity to go be with somebody else. If somebody doesn't see your value, doesn't see your worth, or genuinely isn't attracted to you, why would you want them in your life to begin with? A lot of people, when they get rejected, they want to prove themselves, right? They want to prove themselves to the person and do certain things to show, oh, you're missing out, this, that, and the other. When in reality, it's why would you want to be with somebody who rejected you? Why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't see the value in you? Why would you want to be with somebody who just simply isn't attracted to you? They're not going to treat you how you should be treated and how you deserve to be treated. If they don't see the value in you, they aren't going to show value in you in a relationship. So be open to finding new people and new opportunities whenever rejection presents itself. So if you look at rejection in a positive light, you're more likely to go after the things that you want in life, because it doesn't really matter to you. You're good either way. And again, all of these things I'm talking about really comes from a place of self-love, and I feel like self-love is the core to everything in life, because once you learn to truly love yourself to the point where you don't need anybody else to make you happy, you don't need anybody else to feel loved, and you don't need an external circumstance to make you whole and complete, you will then be able to attract people in the same vibrational frequency, and you will be treated better. My suggestion to you is just to focus on yourself and do the things that you love. Now, I'm going to touch on this one briefly, and this is a fear of change. And the only reason why I'm touching on this briefly is because I talked a lot about it in the previous episode. So if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend that episode. But the reason why you may fear change is because you are so familiar with your current reality. And when the universe is pushing you to go in a different direction, you may resist it and you may reject it, so to speak, because you're afraid. You're afraid of change. You're afraid of what comes with change because it's the unknown. But once you step into the unknown, amazing things happen. And you just have to find out for yourself, because I'm not going to sit here and convince you this, but it's more of an experience. So a challenge for you is to step into the unknown and embrace change into your life. And number 4, people have a fear of loneliness. Let me tell you something. I love being alone. This is something I can't really relate to. Well, I think I can in certain aspects. When my brother passed away, I felt very alone. There were people who were there for me, right? And I don't want to say that nobody was there for me, but there was somebody very significant in my life was not there for me when my brother passed away. He was very emotionally unavailable when it came to that. It taught me a huge lesson. It taught me what I wanted in life. It taught me my new standards. It taught me my value of how I value myself and how I was valuing myself. Anyways, that could be a whole topic in it of itself, but that was really the one time that I truly felt alone, because I was like, wow, the one person that is supposed to really be there for me isn't here for me. And it really taught me to be okay by myself. It really, really did. And I was okay by myself before that, but I think that, when you are allowing somebody into your space, into your life, they need to be emotionally available, and he wasn't. So dealing with loneliness, here's the thing. I would rather be lonely than to be with somebody who doesn't give a shit about me. I think there's a difference of being lonely and being alone. What I want you to do is reframe this and look at it as an opportunity to actually be with yourself. And you're probably gonna go through a whole process of crying and, whatever emotions need to come up will come up, and I encourage that, because you need to release whatever is stored in your body. However, when you're done with that, I suggest that you learn what you enjoy. Like I said, go on solo dates, spend time with yourself, go to different restaurants, see what foods you like. When you are not surrounded by other people, it gives you so much opportunity to really know yourself and know what you like, because you're not tuning to other people. You're not feeling like you have to cater to other people's needs, because let's say you go out to a restaurant and then other people are like, oh, I want tacos. And you're like, well, I don't really like tacos, but sure, I like tacos, but I'm just giving an example here. But if someone doesn't like tacos, right? And they're like, well, I don't really like tacos, but they're a people pleaser. They're going to go have tacos with people and force themselves to eat the tacos. You don't got to do that when you're alone, okay? You can do whatever you want when you are alone. Nobody's stopping you. And it really gives you the perfect opportunity to really know yourself. And then when it is time to be with somebody again, it's even better because you know yourself and you attracted somebody that you really like and that really likes you for you. And you're not tuning to anybody else's needs. Also, make sure you have friends. We are not meant to be super isolated all the time, and it's good to be alone. However, going to hang out with your friends 2 to 3 times a month, minimum, I would say, is really good, because it helps you gain different perspectives, and just overall a sense of community is good. So if you feel alone in the sense that you have no friends, I suggest that you go on Eventbrite. This is a website for events. There's free events, paid events, whatever you choose, and go to an event. Go do things that you genuinely enjoy, and you will meet people that you vibe with. And be approachable. Don't sit there with your arms crossed. Don't look down. Actually go up and talk to people and have a smile on your face and be approachable so that people can come up to you and make friends with you. Anyways, that was a long tangent, but here we are. The next thing that people are most afraid of is death. And this is something that I really had to face when I sat with a plant medicine called ayahuasca. And ayahuasca told me that my brother was going to die. And it happened. So this year, my brother did pass away. And what I have learned about death is that, and I'm not trying to push my beliefs onto you. This is just something I was taught during ayahuasca, so it's not necessarily something that I believed in before. But yeah, I learned it on a plant medicine, and you could take it or leave it, take as much of this as you'd like or as little as you'd like. This is going to get deep and spiritual, but I was taught that the people that we lose in life typically get reincarnated into our family, and we will see them again in a different body. This is what I was also taught about my brother as well, and it has helped me come to peace with his death. I did have to grieve and all of this stuff, but yeah, so it is interesting, but death isn't the end of everything. All we do when we die is we go home. Like, we just go home to where we're from, where our spirit is from. And it's actually a beautiful transition and process because, I'm sure I've died, but I don't remember dying, so to speak. So I can't really speak from experience here. But there also have been many times in my life where I almost died. Trigger warning, I'm going to talk about ending one's life, but I have tried to end my life with overdosing before. I've also gotten alcohol poisoning before and almost died. And I also was in septic shock at one point, and my liver was like blowing up and my kidneys were blowing up. And I almost died at that point too. And what I realized when I was near death is life should be valued so much more than it is. A lot of people will go through life just mindlessly on autopilot, and they're not in the present moment. And when you're not in the present moment, you're wasting your freaking time. You are wasting your time if you are not in the present moment. And if you're constantly thinking about the past and you're constantly thinking about the future, you're wasting your time. The only thing that exists is right now. This moment that you are watching me right now, this is the only thing that exists in the present moment in your world. Do not take each moment for granted. Appreciate every moment that you get in life. When we talk about the fear of death, if you are afraid of dying, use that fear to be present in the moment. Use that fear to enjoy every aspect of your life that you possibly can. Another thing that people are normally afraid of is loss. Losing someone they love, losing a relationship, etc., etc. When we lose a relationship, it makes room for new relationships to come in. And relationships are not meant to be forever. Maybe, if you get married, that's a little bit different, right? And I've been married and it didn't work out. But like I said, live in the present moment because you really never know when you are going to lose someone or something. But it's really not worth it to constantly worry over if you're going to lose it, because what is the point of worrying if you have that thing in your present moment right now? If you are living in the present moment, then you wouldn't be worried about losing a person or a thing. Now, I think it's a little bit different if someone's on their deathbed. We're not talking about that, okay? Just to give you a little bit of perspective, look at all of these things that you're afraid of as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for expansion, an opportunity to really get in tune with yourself and up level in your life and to create better experiences. Every single situation in your life is leading you towards better experiences. Every single breakup that I've went through led me towards a better relationship, a better experience. And if it didn't, then I didn't learn the lessons of the previous experience, because there has been a point where I was dating someone that was not so great for me. They were a narcissist and a pathological liar. The next person I was with was 10 times worse. That is because I didn't learn the lessons of the previous relationships, and I actually used that person as a rebound and ended up having to call the cops on him at one point. It was ridiculous. Okay, it was ridiculous. I'm not saying every relationship in your life is going to be better than the last, but each relationship is going to teach you a lesson so that you can form better relationships with other people, and so that you can be more in the present moment, and so that you can learn the lessons that you need to learn and grow. And that is what I mean by an opportunity for expansion and growth. Another thing that people are afraid of is illness and getting sick. This is something that I'm afraid of, not deathly afraid of, but I really don't like getting sick because I like to get shit done, okay? But what I notice is that when I do get sick, I have a different perspective now. And sorry, my nose is so itchy. I have a different perspective now. And my perspective is that I need to take care of my body. Being sick is an opportunity to rest and recharge and recalibrate your nervous system, and also to reflect on how you've been treating yourself. Honestly, if you get sick, it is most likely a couple of different causes. You're either stressed, you're not feeding yourself correctly, you're not exercising, you're not taking care of yourself in the way that you need to. Being sick really helps you to then be able to, plan for when you're not sick. And it helps you to wind down, slow down, and rest your body, because usually there's something that's going to up level in your life and you need to rest and recharge for that. Another thing that people are afraid of is their failure in relationships. And what I mean by this is fear of commitment, intimacy, or heartbreak. It comes with the territory. I'm sorry to say it, but like you're most likely going to get your heart broken a ton of times in life. It just happens, and if you're not getting your heart broken, you're probably not living life, okay? You're probably not mingling with other people. It's just a natural part of life to feel heartbreak. But once you feel heartbreak, you learn to navigate who you are better, and you learn to love yourself. Every single thing that happens in your life that you are afraid of is an opportunity for you to love yourself. And the last one is fear of judgment. We've already kind of touched on that, but again, love yourself. That's really all I have to say in this podcast. I mean, there's so much that I could talk about, but really the number one thing is to love yourself. Any fear that you have is most likely stemming from either a childhood trauma, but it's also stemming from not loving yourself in the way that you need to. And what that can also stem from is not knowing yourself. So take yourself out on solo dates. Make sure that you are grooming yourself properly, taking care of yourself, putting on lotion when you get out of the shower. Do those extra things to make yourself feel loved and appreciated. That way, when new things come into your life, you're not afraid of it because you're in tune with yourself and you're good with that external thing or person, either way, whether they're in your life or not. That brings this podcast episode to an end. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube and let me know what you think about this episode. Feel free to support me in any way that you possibly can, either by subscribing or downloading this episode, or however you support podcasts, okay? I'm still new to this. I still don't really know, the logistics behind, whatever. But we are on Spotify and a couple of different platforms. I'm still figuring out how to get it on Apple. If any of you know, please let me know. I'm still figuring it out. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, and I will see you in the next one. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.